Hello, my name is Magella Williams. I'm a teacher of the deaf, and I am the teacher in charge at Eastbury Primary School, which is in London and the UK. And I developed a new sort of deaf provision, which we're attached to a mainstream school of over 800 hearing children, and at the moment we have 8 deaf children, and I oversee and work with communication or education communication support workers, or we call them ECSW, and we use BSL, as you can see I'm doing now. Is British Sign Language, and we have a different alphabet. We use A, B, C, D. We use two hands, not the old, A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. that you use in South Africa and in America and, different parts of the world. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm also a family sign language tutor, and I work with families in the home. So part of my work is to do home visits and to encourage and support parents. So I support parents by showing them how easy it is to work with deaf children and their children, because deaf children are often left out of the communication at home because everyone's sort of speaking around them and nobody knows sign language. So I sort of go into the home to encourage the family and the parents to sort of lead the communication process, and just to show them how easy it is, because sign language is not scary, okay? And I find that lots of my parents are a little bit scared to start, and then they sort of see, hey, that's what I do, drink, eat. It's quite sort of logical, really, and that any signs or gestures is better than nothing. And pointing and acting and all those things that we do with young children are actually the same for deaf children. So really, deaf children are no different to hearing children. They're just a little bit delayed with their language, but they catch up really quickly because their brain is still the same age as when they were born. It's their language that might be younger, and sometimes it's quite a few years younger, like even 5 years or more behind. But when we introduce language, they just catch up really quick, and they can go 2 or 3 years in 1 year, and that's happened with my children. They were 5 years behind. So they were like 7 years old and they had a language age of 2. Or they were 6 years old and they had a language age of 1. Or they were 8 years old with a language age of a 3-year-old. But they were clever, okay? So with sign language and with speech therapy and with what we do is called sort of bimodal or bilingual, and that means like what I'm doing now really is exactly how I teach my children. I'm doing speech, clear lip patterns, slow it down a little, and I'm just adding some sign language. And so I've done a little video for you of a home visit that I did with a deaf mum, okay, but she had 2 hearing children, and those children had very little sign language because the mother wasn't really involved just recently. So the boy, who's 1, had very little sign language, but he was looking at it and he was taking everything in. And the little girl, who was 2 or 2.5, she was actually even lip reading after like 2 sessions. Like, I'd turn my voice off and go, and she'd go, cat, so that's lip reading. Or sometimes I'd even take away the lip pen, I go, and she'd say cat. So that means she's reading the sign language. Or if I said without the sign cat and they point to cat, that means that they're doing the oral language. So you can actually do all 3 of those. You can do sign language, you can do spoken language, and you can do lip patterns all sort of at the same time. And if you watch the video, sort of the family sign language, you'll see the mum using sign language, me using speech and sign. Sometimes I take it away just for little short periods, but like over 80% of the time I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is sign language and speech, and I'm doing it parallel, you know, not like this. It's not like sign language is down here and speech is up here, because sign language is really important, and it has to be strong sign language and strong speech. So it's parallel. It's called bimodal bilingualism. Bimodal bilingualism, or SSE mixed with BSL, because I use some BSL signs as well. Like this. Like, I don't understand. You know, that's a BSL sign. I don't say I don't understand. I just go, I don't understand. So we sort of mix it up to do this sort of parallel language. And we've had fantastic success with our children who were extremely language delayed, like 5-year gap. And they have caught up 2-3 years in 1 year in their speaking, in their listening, sometimes in their reading. Writing's always a little bit more behind. Don't worry about writing, okay, because that will come later. First thing, you have to be able to speak. If you can't speak, you can't write, because you can't write anything that you can't communicate, okay? So, or some children write, but they don't understand what they're writing. It's just sort of like copying Chinese or something that you don't really understand, okay? So it's very you have to be really careful that they're not spelling words that they don't understand the meaning of, which happens a lot, we find, in mainstream schools. That comprehension comes with speaking and listening. And when we say speaking, I mean that's signing, okay, as well, because it's expressing yourself in whatever way is best for you, whether it's speech, whether it's sign, or whether it's both. We find both works fantastic, and the speech is really improving of children that didn't speak at all. And when a deaf person comes into the room, they turn their voice off just naturally and they sign with them, and those deaf people can understand what they're saying. So, and that's after 1 year, and that's only for like an hour a day or 2 hours a day. It's not lots, and it's actually just doing what I'm doing now. And when you watch the video, it's just doing same thing. They're young children, but I did that with 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and you could do it with 15-year-olds, because it doesn't matter how old they are. You link it with the thing, the real thing, then you link it with like a picture or a book, okay? Make these links. It's really easy. There's a really easy strategy, okay? It's not rocket science. Looking at nouns, or the names of things, okay? Looking at verbs, okay? And you'll see that I was doing cooking and drinking and eating, so we did some verbs, so everything, nouns, verbs. Looking at concepts, we did up and down, and you know, those sorts of things. Concepts is really important. And singing, because singing is just really, the singing and nursery rhymes is where the rhythm of the language comes in. So singing, just because they're deaf doesn't mean they can't join in singing, and it doesn't matter what they sound like if it's not in tune. Who cares? It's using their voice and encouraging the use of voice, and it's fun, and it's listening. It's listening, and it's repetitious, and they just love it. And deaf children can sing and sign and just express and dance themselves the same as everybody else. So really, that's how it works. Nouns, verbs, concepts, which is just opposites, like up, down, hot, cold, all those sorts of things. And just a little bit of singing. Oh, and I forgot, the fifth one is questions, like who, and that's the first, like who, where, what. Those are the three first. You do where, what, who. okay? Then you would go on to why, and then you would, at the very last, really difficult, is when and how, is like first, second, third. And first, second, third is a concept as well to understand, and things like same and different, because you have to understand same in order to make links with the world around you. If you don't understand the concept of same and different, and lots of deaf children don't, okay, I've had 10-year-olds that don't fully understand same and different, okay, so don't underestimate that. Then you can make links, but without understanding same and different, you can't understand similar, and you can't do rhyming words, which are the same and different. You know, the end is the same, but the start is different. So you have to fully understand, and you can't do maths because patterns are same and different. You know, so patterns. So you need to understand those concepts, which a lot of deaf children don't get, because you learn that through speaking and watching and understanding, and through language when you're really young, okay, before the age of 4 for hearing children, but deaf children miss that. So they're the 5 things that in the video that you can look for, is the nouns, the verbs, the questions, and the conversations, and the concepts, and then just doing some singing and role play and having a bit of fun. Okay, so I hope that's sort of enough for you. I know I'm going to do another one on behaviour with deaf children, because I specialise in behaviour management. I have a master's in behaviour management. I've worked with special needs children for like the last 15 years, and deaf children for 10 years, and especially deaf children with additional needs. So if they're deaf and behavioural difficulties, deaf and learning difficulties, deaf with syndromes, deaf and autism, deaf and, you know, language delay, all sorts of things, that's where I've worked, sort of here in London and in Australia, and I've visited and seen lots of things in South Africa and other parts of Africa as well. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll do another video for you with some tips for behavior management. It's not hard, actually. It's really easy, and you're just going to go, wow, really? Is that it? Are you sure? Are you sure that's going to work? I guarantee it works. I guarantee it works, but you just have to be consistent. So we'll do that in the next video. So enjoy and watch. This is a family sign language that you can do at home with anything. Okay, even if you don't have a book, it doesn't matter. You don't need a book. You just do it with the things around the home. Okay, and you just introduce the language, and you'll see I repeat and repeat and repeat to the point of insanity. If you feel like you're going insane, that's a good thing. The more you speak, the more you'll encourage them to speak, and then make sure you make it lots of fun when they do the right thing, and that will encourage them to speak even more and to communicate with you, because they want to just be loved the same as everybody. Okay, well done. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.